I hope you're all full. I hope you had a good lunch. I hope you're ready, energized. We're going to talk about Spotify. So this morning, in this morning's session, I'll pass these out if you just want to take one and pass them along. So today, this morning we started top down, really big high level concept. Now we're going back when we chatted about the artist, marketing the artist at the top level. Now we're coming more micro and narrowing in and thinking about marketing the song at the song level. And so what I'm going to do today is, in this session, is just talk a little bit about release strategy and release marketing with a focus on Spotify and streaming. And then we're going to listen to everybody's music and help really narrow down what the pitch is. And that will essentially be the afternoon. So Spotify one-on-one. Who has songs out on Spotify so far? 1, 2, 3. Great. Okay. All seasoned. Easy. You know who I am, so I'll breeze through this. Okay, so one of my artists, Brick Blair, he joined my course as an artist, didn't have anything out on Spotify. On his second ever song he released, he hit 50,000 streams. And what that was able to do, he was a software developer, and he just basically figured out, all right, if I apply my software brain, my software engineer brain, to figuring out this streaming thing, then I think I can figure it's just data. It's just moving data around. And he cracked it. And he ended up coming up with this way to use playlists and the underbelly, the whole playlist ecosystem, in order to propel his tracks up to 50,000 streams. Now, since then he's kind of become, in my course, the resident streaming expert. But when we think about 50,000 streams, and I said this a little bit this morning, where that news headline went around where there was 120,000 tracks uploaded to Spotify every day. And that always sends artists crazy, because it's just like, how on earth are you meant to compete with that volume of music? But 50,000 streams, we started to look at it and we go, okay, actually 50,000 streams, if you have 50,000 streams on a track, that puts you in the top 16% of music in the world, which is significant. So when you hear that number, 120,000 songs uploaded to Spotify every day, just think most of them are from people not like you. They're not career artists. They're not in it for the long game. And when you can, when you can bump into, with 16 into the top 16%, as a result of his 50,000 streams on that track, he ended up growing to 5,000 monthly listeners. 5,000 monthly listeners puts you in the top 4% of all tracks in the world, and this is based on Spotify data. So I wanted to share that with you to just go, yes, the competition is rough and fierce, but Spotify and streaming presents a really huge opportunity for growth, and there's a lot that you can do and take into your own hands and actually market yourself, rather than relying on industry gatekeepers and stuff like that. So in this afternoon session, that's what we're going to really focus in on. And I think that streaming is the biggest opportunity for artists, because it's the number that everyone looks at. It's like, and when you release a track on that Friday, you're hitting refresh. How many streams? And then if you're talking to a label, the label's going straight to Spotify. How many streams? Like, if you're booking festivals, they're looking at that. If you're trying to get on radio, they're looking at that. And I think it's the marketing driver that an artist can control the most. So that's what we're going to get into it. I'm going to give you a 3-step growth plan for Spotify. I'm also going to give you an area for a recommended area for growth as well, and then we're going to work on your projects. So first off, think about why do you actually want streams? Anyone want to be brave enough to say why streams are important to them?
It's the way to let your music be known by other people, and so it's an easy way of doing that, yeah.
Anyone else want to add?
Yeah, it's that visibility mostly, no? Or listenability.
Yep, agree. Great. The other ones I'm looking at is social proof. So social proof is just basically a number or something that's out there that's very public that proves that people care about you and that people like the music. And social proof is important because the music industry is a relationships business and it's run on gatekeepers. And those gatekeepers, we're going to talk about in tomorrow's session, but they are the people who control the festivals, who book you for festivals, who book you for DJ residencies, who write about you in the press, who create content, create exceptional like music videos for you. They're people who play you on the radio. All these tastemakers can propel an artist's career forward, and they're all looking at streaming numbers as social proof. The other reason why streams are important is its leverage. We spoke a lot about social media in that that's where the audience lives. But if you think about with streaming, Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon, that's where YouTube Music, that's where people are listening to music. And what those companies are trying to do is they're trying to keep you on the platform, keep their users on the platform as much as possible. So they're trying to serve up your music to these people if it's the right fit. And you can create real leverage. So this is like a growth of a track. But when you can kind of get into the algorithm and the algorithm is pushing you out, recommending you, that's where you get huge growth. So I was hired once by a major label to consult for one of their rappers, and they had huge numbers on YouTube, like talking like millions and millions and millions of views on their videos, and just nothing on Spotify. Like the dip in Spotify was so low, and it's because you can't really move audiences around the internet. It's really difficult to get people off platform. So what I was brought in to do was figure out, okay, why does this discrepancy exist? Is it an audience problem? Is it a marketing problem? What's happening? And what can we do to get ourselves out of this? So I did everything, and I put together 10 different ideas, a whole bunch of things from digital marketing to fan activations to streaming strategies. We implemented all of them. And then what ended up happening was after about a month, he got added to Rap Caviar. That gave him 1 million streams, like pretty much within 3 days. And then that gave him that exposure to be pushed into the algorithm. And then a month later, most of his streams had come from the radio function. And I'm talking millions and millions of them. And so it's like, when they can find the right data to push your song to, that's where that snowball effect happens. And so for Brick Blair, when he first started, when he was at the 5,000 follower mark, the 50,000 streams, 92% of those streams came from third-party playlists. And then as the months kind of progressed, that dropped down to 42%. And the rest of it was just this snowball growth that's just always happening. It's always lifting your catalogue. So I always say that the opportunity for independent artists with streaming is so great because, let me just brace this bit. Is so great because you both have this shared goal where like you're trying to get your music heard by strangers and Spotify is trying to get your music heard by strangers because that keeps them on the platform. So it's a rare marketing opportunity where both you as the artist in the industry are on the same side. They're trying to do the same thing. Playlists are the most direct path to streams. So and playlists basically look like this. So you've got Spotify on top, and then you've got two streams, two abilities here. So on one side, you've got playlists, and this is people who are creating playlists in some form. So within the playlists on the left-hand side, you've got editorial playlists. Your editorial playlists are they're the ones where they're human curated. There's a staff member at Spotify HQ putting that music into that list. The way you get on those is through your Spotify for Artist pitch. It's also label allocation. So labels have a set amount of real estate that they're guaranteed to put artists in because they own a stake in Spotify. So every New Music Friday, Warner Music will have a certain percentage of slots that they can have. You then have on the independent side third-party playlists. So these are individuals like myself, you, anybody who's got a playlist on Spotify. They can range from having hundreds of thousands of followers to 0 followers, and there's millions of them. There's also networks of playlists. So they're things like the Nations or Fader or media companies, and they'll have a whole bunch of fashion brands, other lifestyle brands. That's on the playlist side. On the other side of growth on Spotify is the algorithm. And so that is your radio function. So if I'm listening to a Kate Bush song, then whatever is recommended to me next is based on my listening behavior. That's radio. You then have your discovery playlists. So they're your Discover Weekly, Release Radar, things that are made for you. Then you also have your genre type playlists. So my jazz mix, my R&B mix will be different to your jazz and R&B mix based on your listening preferences, moods, and then of course we've got the charts, so whatever is happening in terms of popularity, and then this personalised hybrid of personalisation. And my phone stopped working, so I can't bring up my notes. I'm going to go into each of these in a little bit of detail, and then I'm going to talk about where the opportunity is for this. So for editorial playlists are really useful. Playlists that are curated by a Spotify staff member. So they usually have got, they're on the receiving end of all your Spotify for Artists pitches. They also have, algorithms scraping the songs and serving it to them, and then they're listening to the tracks and they're adding it to those playlists. These playlists get the most plays. These can be career-changing playlists. Like if you're on, a 10 days, a Poland or a Rap Caviar or something, that in itself is such a tastemaker and can get you so many streams. So they can be career-changing. Editorial playlists are really good for niche genres and really good for smaller markets. So not so applicable here, but whenever I'm talking to American artists, I say stay away from this like the plague because it's just too competitive. But if you're in a smaller market and a smaller genre, you got a shot at these ones. For those who are not in smaller markets and not in small genres, your route to success is going to be on third-party playlist pitching. And they are through either individuals or middlemen agencies. So for you, you've got the option, and it depends on how much time you have, how much money you have. So you've got middlemen agencies. These are basically people who, they have a network of third-party playlist curators, and they serve as the middleman between you, the artist, and the curator at the other end. The promise of them to the curator is going, hey, you don't need to be hit up by all these artists across all your different channels. Just we'll send you music, you say yes or no, we'll pay you. It's really clean. We'll save you the hassle of going back and forth. For an artist, it's really helpful because it means that you don't have to be researching contact information and building your own database. You can just plug into one of these agencies and then they'll pitch your music. So you have that option. You then, on the other end, have individual pitching. And so what that is you're basically coming up with your own contact list and you're pitching them like a middleman would. One of my students in my course did this, got their track to 1 million streams. They were in a band and they split the work up between the 4 of them, and they were just like, every night as part of our nighttime routine, when we watch TV, we're just going to pitch Spotify playlists. And they set a goal for themselves to pitch 7 playlists a night while they were watching TV, and they just chipped away at it, and they built a database of over 700 curators, and they got to 1 million streams by doing that approach. Now, super unsustainable, but also you're not always, your goal is to get out of third-party playlists as quickly as possible and get into algorithmic playlists, because that's happening without you having to do anything. Also within the third-party playlist curating world is a whole bunch of bot streams and scams and sleazy behaviour and horribleness. And so your biggest watch out for this is making sure the legitimacy and viability of playlists. Then on the other side is the algorithm. So the algorithm is, when we're looking at algorithmic recommendations, this is when machines, like when AI is basically recommending your music and there's no human interference whatsoever. And currently what that looks like on Spotify is the radio function. So if you just tap into, say, James Blake, and then just like tap the 3 buttons and say go to radio, it's going to spill up a whole bunch of tracks, probably by Fred again, Mazzy Star, whoever. there's that function. Then there's also the discovery-based playlist. So you discover weekly, release radar, jazz mix, R&B mix, and then workouts and moods style playlists. Then you also have the genre charts and the global charts, and then this personalized editorial. So you might have a house mix that has a list of priority tracks that Spotify are pushing, but also is dispersed with tracks that are based on your listening behavior. This is where the bulk of long-term growth in your catalog will happen, is when you've got this really nice, when Spotify can find audiences. You and Spotify have got the same goal. So the way that their business model works is they need to sell advertisers to make money, and they need to sell subscriptions. The way they sell subscriptions is by making sure that their app gives you the best music and keeps you on the app, and that you're using the app as much as possible, so you could not rely on not having Spotify. The only way that they're going to be able to do that is if they can serve the end user the best recommended music, and so that they can see the value. And in the same way, if they can keep you on platform for as long as possible, then they've got more hours that they can sell advertising dollars to as well. So they are trying to find good music to get to their end listener. They're trying to find strangers to send your music to. You, as the marketer, the visionary, the CEO of your business, you are trying to find strangers to put your music to build an audience. The problem happens is when, and what can happen when that perfect synergy happens and that marriage happens, this is where you get the most streams, because you don't have to, the whole collective user base of Spotify is a lot bigger than any single one playlist that exists on platform. And it can, if you get onto these, it just continues to lift the catalog over and over again. It's also one of the very rare marketing activities in music marketing where it constantly works in the background. So usually particularly if you're an artist doing it all yourself, it can feel like if you take a day off and you stop juggling the balls, the whole thing falls over and you're like, everything goes quiet. Whereas when your music's constantly just racking up streams and working in the background, that's a really great way to constantly be finding new fans. So this is always the golden choice and goal for artists, because playlists and algorithmically recommended playlists, because it's not a popularity contest. Unlike getting on radio or being booked for a festival, they're going to be looking at social audiences and streaming numbers to go, is this person going to pull a crowd? Playlisters, they don't care. All they're trying to do is make sure that song 1 matches song 2, which matches song 3, so people just keep listening through and don't change. Similarly, no social following required. I know from this group and everyone else, that's of a concern, and so that doesn't come into play. It's also sustainable, so it's working in the background constantly to lift you up. It's the biggest growth area, and also you can start immediately. So even if you don't have tracks, you can always be promoting your catalogue of music, and should be, to constantly be finding new audiences. So how I teach this and what works for Bricklayer was you use these third-party playlists first to tap the algorithmic growth. And what we're doing with that is, what we're trying to do is market a song and not the artist. So we spoke about in branding, where high level we're talking about marketing the artist. Now we're kind of getting down into the release, and we're trying to figure out how do we market the actual song. I'm going to take you through, we're going to do this live. I'll tell you kind of about, this is kind of, we're going to basically do this process live. But where the challenge with third-party playlists come, and pitching playlists in general, is artists are never specific enough about the track. And what will happen is you'll end up, and it happens because people don't know how to describe their music, or they get self-conscious and don't know how to, and don't describe it properly, or they're so close to the art it makes sense to them, but objectively from a lay person's ear they hear something different. And a few of you experienced that in the branding exercise this morning, where what you think or what your intention is didn't match what's out in the world, and that can happen with your music. Really good example of this was I was working with an artist who believed his music sounded like Radiohead and wanted to be positioned like Radiohead. And I was like, great, sounds nothing like Radiohead. And then, but he wouldn't take no for an answer. And so we kind of put together this campaign that was very alternative, very like if you were marketing Tom York, it was just like, this is the playbook. And as a result, most people passed because they were like, this doesn't make sense for our publication, this doesn't make sense for our playlist, this, it was the wrong input to the wrong pitch. When we rejigged it, we were like, actually, this exists more in the world of Flume and electronic artists like that. That's when things started to change. And for Brick Blair, he was the same. So he really hated the idea of being alternative country. He was just like, it was something about that genre. He's like, I'm not a country artist, no. And then he started using these middleman agencies and Smith Hub and stuff, and he's like, I'm actually just really, and just kept getting rejections. And then he was like, all right, I'm just sick of getting the shit kicked out of me on Submit Hub. Maybe somebody's gonna give me, he's like, I'll be a country artist. He did that, started getting playlisted. So it's like, the better the inputs are, and the more specific you can be, the tighter your pitch is, the better results you're gonna get. And that's what we're gonna work on in this session. And I just love this meme because people are always like, I hate country music. Then also in the same breath, yeah. About being specific, there is 5,975 Spotify genres on Spotify. So when an artist will tell me, oh, I'm an alternative artist, it's like, okay, what makes a song alternative? Is it the vocal presence? Is it the vocal range? Is it the tempo? Is it the use of analog versus digital instruments? The lyrical content and themes? Adherence to genre conventions or not? Is it the length of a track? The presence or absence of specific instruments? It's too broad. And so what we need to do is, what you want to do is make it as specific as possible. Once we know how specific the song is, then that's when we can start to, we're going to go through this exercise, so we're not going to play this. So what we do after this is we're going to analyse your songs, and we're going to work with each other to give you an objective point of view of what that song actually sounds like and where that fits. And that isn't meant to be, there's no right or wrong answer, and it's not meant to be like I gotcha. It's more of an opportunity of having like all you creative, smart, driven artists in the room working on each other's projects and giving you feedback. Once we do that, then your homework for this, in addition to your branding, will be to collate all of the comparative, all that data and the comparative song comps, and then use that information to go and target playlists.
What's the song comps?
Oh yeah, just a comparative song. So what we'll do is we'll analyse your song, and then that's going to give us a list of songs that are similar to you. And then what we're going to do is analyse those similar songs and find out which playlists that they exist on, and then go after those playlists. And that's going to give you, that will help you find, where do I actually pitch this song? What environment does make sense? And you'll start to be able to go, oh, that playlist is an editorial playlist, don't need it. This one's independent, which means that they're open for business and they can be pitched. I'm going to go after that. That same band that I spoke about, who pitched 7 playlists per night, they were really smart when it came to the targeting playlists part. And what they ended up doing was, as they were targeting all these playlists, they started to observe that there was another band. This band is called the Crystal Casino Band. They're out of DC in America. And they observed that there was another band that kept popping up on the same playlist as them, called Divine Sweatshirt. And they're like, they've got the same contacts as we do. They're playing the same game as we are. interesting. They listen to their music, they're like, it's great and it's very similar to ours. So they reached out to them and they were like, hey, see that you are pitching to the same playlist as we are. We kind of exist in the same world. Let's work together on this. And they did. And they collated information and they shared contacts and then they both helped each other pitch. And then they ended up making a track together. And because it both exist in the same world, it became their biggest streaming hit. I had another friend and manager whose client did the same thing. So once you start to get on these playlists, take it that step further and listen to the songs and find these artists and go, where does this collaboration opportunities exist? So that is what we're going to do this afternoon. You've got a question?
Yeah, I wanted to ask that when you were talking about editorial playlists, so Spotify for artists gives you this, whenever you put a song up, once it's on DSPs, then they say that you can pitch it to Spotify editors for putting it on. So I always wonder whether over there, does it make sense to tell them that, hey, this is the vibe of the song, or they're gonna like anyway assess it themselves, or like how does that work? And because I have seen that if once your song goes on like an editorial playlist, and if it stays there for years, it's not just streams, but a lot of people like can actually reach out to you sometimes.
Absolutely,
if they discover your music. And another question that I had was when you're selecting genres, sometimes I'm very confused also because my music is electronic, because it's made with the computer, but it's still like there's a lot of organic elements, there's a lot of instrumental, and there's a lot of genre options because you select electronic and then you can select subgenres. That's when it gets a little confusing.
Yes.
So how do, like these two things, how do you?
Yeah. The first one is in your Spotify for editorial, Spotify for artists pitch, what they want to see is that you're driving people back to their platform. So don't spend you only get 500 characters in that. Don't spend the entire time describing what the song sounds like because they're going to listen to the song. Plus you've got the genre tags that's going to give them a clear indication of what the song sounds like. Instead, talk about what's significant about the song. Any marketing, when I'm doing my pitches, I'll put in any relevant marketing activities that are on. If there's anyone that's been featured on there, if there's any key people on there, anyone on the team, if there's a publicist working it, if there's a radio plugger working it, if there's any, if there's a tour or any key marketing drivers to go, if it's, part of a wider project, like this is track 2 of 13 tracks that were going to be released over this period of time, what they want to see is a complete project and that, they're jumping on a train that's moving rather than, and that you're going to be driving people back to their platform rather than going, okay, this is just one random track that's going to be in, the 74% of tracks on Spotify, the 3/4 of tracks on Spotify that are by artists who have one track out, So try to show kind of, what you're doing to push it and the legitimacy of it, and then and keep the what does it sound like short. Yeah. The second part of it was about.
Sorry to cut you off, but they actually say that. Please share with us the process of creating the track and any plans to promote it.
Yeah.
So you covered the promotion, but yeah.
Yeah. And they always want to know that stuff. The second part of the question was about.
It was the genre, the fight between the confusion of genres.
So with my students, we actually do this exercise regularly, and what we'll do is. We get people to give each other feedback on which songs it sounds like. Then what I'll do is I'll run that through a tool which we're going to use, Every Noise at Once, and that comes up with a whole bunch of different genres. And then you can select from that. There are also other tools like Cyanite.ai, and that's an AI tool that will describe your song. Cyanite, CYNAITE.ai. This one. So it's usually used for sync licensing world, but you can, they're like a pretty new company, and you can get like a free trial there. And what I'll do is put the song in there, and it's going to give you this whole scoring system. And what this tool is meant to do is to organise catalogues of libraries for sync licensing that have hundreds of thousands of tracks in there. When they're trying to pitch, like, oh, give me a mood for the Euphoria season 4 for this kind of thing, and they're like one of 100 tracks that we have, but it's a really helpful tool for you to use as well. So I'll do something like that. And then the other one that I use is this one called Every Noise at Once, which we're going to use. And this is just always, it's like a running list of every single genre that's on Spotify at any given time. And right now it was last updated on the 30th of May, and there's 6,188 genres on Spotify at the moment. And it's also just really fun, because whose favourite is? Give me a favourite artist right now. Anyone?
Sleep Token.
Who?
Sleep Token.
How do you spell it?
Sleep.
Yep. Token. All right, so prog metal. And then you go in here and you go, okay, these are all the other artists that Sleep Token sound similar, or that Spotify understand them. So it's like, oh, okay, cool. Like, and the more closer together they are, the more similar they are. And the bigger they are is the more bigger they are in that genre, and the more influence they have in that genre. So if I look at, like, I don't know, let's have a look at Charlie XCX. I can see here UK pop, art pop, candy pop, metropolis. Let's have a look at what candy pop is. Yeah, that's what it says, 6,188 genres. There's a lot. But, we can see here, within the candy pop world, she's around here, but it can also be, compared to Blondie and Avril Lavigne, I would never have thought that. But that's how the machine understands them. Icona Pop, that makes sense because she's got a collaboration with them. But yeah, but then you can also listen to any of these tracks too. So if we just listen to Samantha Rosen, if it's, my audio's not working, but yeah. So I'll use tools like these to try and figure it out.
I didn't even know there was something like that.
Yeah, it's so fun. I sometimes just go on it and just have a look.
But do you know how it works? Behind the scenes, how does the matching work? How does the
for Every Noise or for Spotify?
For Every Noise, how they do the matching process?
Yeah, they have a whole thesis on it down the bottom.
Okay.
Yeah, so if you just have a look, this guy Glenn McDonald. It's an ongoing attempt.
I can probably explore it.
Have a
sure,
quick squeeze.
Thanks.
Okay, so that's the process that we're going to go through. And we're not going to get into targeting playlists today just because we don't have enough time. But what I want to do is do the analysing the songs and selecting the song comps, and then I'll give you some homework for targeting the playlists.
A very ignorant question.
Mm-hmm. What is music?
How do you target playlists? I have no idea. I have no idea. I'm sorry.
No, that's not an ignorant question at all. So when you're targeting playlists, you have a few options, and I'm just going to talk about the third-party list because you've got this. If we're just talking about Spotify, you've got your Spotify for Artist pitch, which you're going to do. Your options when you're targeting playlists is it's really you're just approaching them. You're just asking them, hey, can you please put my song on your playlist? Yeah, that's all you're doing. Think of playlist curators as music bloggers, and they have a blog and they feature artists and feature songs that they like. And a music blog would do that in a written format where they'd be like, this is a cool track, this is a music video, this is sick. Whereas a playlist curator, they just build up playlists on their own Spotify profile, and they've been promoting those playlists So they've got lots and lots of followers. And then if you can get your song onto those playlists, that will put you in front of a bigger audience. So all you're doing is sending emails to these people who run these playlists. And your options for approaching them is you can either use a pitching service. So a pitching service is think of them like an agency or like a publicity firm, maybe, or a talent management firm. And you think of them as like, what they've done is they've built businesses where they've gone and done that process, where they've gone and found people on Spotify that run big playlists, and they go to them and they go, hey, you probably have thousands of artists DMing you, emailing you, texting you, asking to be featured, and it's probably really annoying and it's taking up a lot of time. Why don't you come into our world and we're just going to give you either an email a week or we'll give you a dashboard where we'll just serve you new music, and if you add the song to the playlist, we'll pay you, and if you don't, no problems. And so there are lots of different pitching services and platforms. These are a few of them. So Playlist Push, MusoSoup, Playlist to Club, Groover, Submit Hub. There are tons of these companies out there. It all costs money, of course, but it's they're a really useful tool if you don't have the time to be able to email people directly. And then your other option is to do it yourself. So you will build up your own contact database, and you can get contacts from places like Playlist Supply. So that's a company that just aggregates all of the contact information that they can find of playlisters. And then there's also Chartmetric, which is an analytics company, and I believe they still offer this, but they offer contact information. So it's a lot of grunt work, I'm not gonna lie. It's it's a lot of research, but once you have those contacts and you start to make those relationships, I mean, if you run a label, that's a huge leverage to be able to constantly be setting those up.
Yeah, I have a question regarding the playlists, because how does it work? Because as far as I can tell, you can't pay a person to add you to a playlist because it's against the Spotify licensing.
Yeah, it is,
so,
but people do it.
Okay.
Yeah. It's just how it works.
Okay. Yeah.
So what they'll do is they'll say, we're not paying you to put your song on, we're paying you to listen to the music. And as a service fee for listening to the music, they pay these people.
And if you like it, you publish it.
Yeah.
And you still have to pay, even if they might just reject your song, they might even reject your song, but they'll tell you you can opt for that option where they'll give you a feedback, but you still have to pay. Because so you're not really paying. Okay, pay and you'll get on the playlist. Yeah. Sometimes you'll pay like $50, $100, and you won't land up in any playlist because it just didn't work. Like they didn't like it, or like whatever.
Yeah. And in that scenario, when you pay $50 or $100 and nothing happens, it's because the pitch usually isn't specific enough.
Yeah,
it's because
and maybe because you're pitching to the wrong
people,
playlist, or to wrong people. Like you're trying to be Radiohead when you're
when you're flying.
Something else, maybe.
That's the issue. How do we know that that's the right person you should pitch to?
But I think also this exercise of trying to understand what your music really sounds like is a big part of it. For us, it's really difficult sometimes because you're trying to. We work in the crossroads between genres, and you're like trying to find which genre is right for you, and it will make the difference, because that's the difference between getting discovered or not. Because if people are looking for something that actually is your genre, but they can find you because you're not tagged like that, and you can put like really pretty tags, but no one is going to look for them, or they're not going to be like discovered anyway. Anyway, I wanted to ask you, like, between these different pitching services, like I was actually reading like a kind of breakout between all of them, and is there one that you recommend, or maybe for Europe, one that you could recommend? Because I know there's some that work best in Europe, some that work best in the US, and I don't know, but I read something about it. But
I don't recommend any of them because so many artists. I'm in a really unique position because if I recommend something and then people go and use it and it doesn't work for them, it's really shitty for me. And I am not controlling the pitch. So I never, so my students will be like, say for Playlist Push, for example, they'll use it and one of my students has got to 100,000 plays using that service. Other students saw that success in my Discord, went and did that, lost money. And so I never want to be like, go spend money here. Yeah. What I've seen be really helpful is using a service like Submit Hub, where you only pay for whatever they take. So it's free otherwise. Using Submit Hub to test if something actually works, and if it feels like, okay, this feels like the right pitch and like it's actually getting picked up, then go to a service like Playlist Push or MusoSoup or something like that, or an agency, and that can be, you know, a recommendation of a place in Europe. And then you're like, okay, I know with pretty good reason that like I know what this song sounds like. I've done my diligence to put together a proper pitch. I tested it with Submit Hub. It's kind of resonating there. I haven't sunk a lot of money into it yet. Now I can take a swing at it and use one of these services. I just generally find the success of these services is the information that they get, because they don't do any strategy for you. All they're doing is taking your information and blasting it to their database. So, but I think some of them present themselves a little bit more, that they're a little bit more hand-holdy or strategic, where they, in my experience, they're not. I found. So should we start? Yeah? Okay, great. Okay, so I've got a little questionnaire. No, this is not it. This one, questions. Okay. All right, so really simple. Let's start with your track.
Okay.
Yeah, because I need to figure out my audio for this one. But what we're going to do is we're going to listen.
To listen?
Yep.
We also
Yeah.
can listen or not, maybe through the speakers if we run it from your computer.
Yeah, I was trying to do that, but it's not for whatever reason.
Okay. This is.
But maybe because it's not turned on in the
No,
mixer.
you're not sending audio. I'm not sending audio. Still. You want me to? Okay. Now I'm sending.
Oh no, we can run yours straight off that, and then for everyone else we'll do off my computer.
I'm sending audio now.
Sounds great.
Minimal.
John Cage.
Actually, I'm copying the guy named John Cage. Does it?
Can everyone see those questions? No.
Okay. So this is just
Feedback.
So this was
With the
just an idea that I had, and I put it on the computer. I still hadn't finished it.
Okay, before you play it, if everybody can just get a paper and a pen.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
First time I show it to someone.
Of course, yeah, yeah.
We can go out and we show our music.
Actually, I feel like I have two things there that are very different for me. I don't know what to make with such different.
Yeah.
I wouldn't put it in the same account on Spotify.
Yeah.
Maybe I show a little bit of both, or
Just choose one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Someone needs one of these. Good. Good.
Okay, so as we listen to everybody's music, we're going to listen to the track in full, and I want you.
It's a long track.
It's a long track. How long?
7 minutes.
We'll see how we're going for time. You're last anyway, so we're going to go this way around. So as we are listening to everyone's music, I want you to answer these 4 questions and just write them down and try. 5 questions. So the first question is, if this song was on a playlist on Spotify, what would the playlist be called? Get creative here. It could be, you know, shower thoughts, or, you know, Americana road trip, or, you know, make up Spotify playlists. What would the name of the playlist be called? Then I want you to think of what is the first song that this track reminds you of. The song, not the artist, like an actual specific song. Then artists, which type of artists, you can list as many as you want, does this song remind you of? Then think about what type of moods does this song fit? And then lastly, how would you describe the song's genre? And the genre one, obviously that's always really challenging. We're going to use a tool like Every Noise or Cyanide at the end afterwards. And we're going to do that for everybody's tracks. And then I'm going to collate them, and I'm going to put them into a document, and I'm going to give them to each of you. So you're going to have that raw feedback and everyone else's opinion. So for answering those questions of how do I describe my song, which genre, it's going to give you a starting off point. There's no wrong, like, have fun with this. We get to like listen to each other's tracks. It's a vibe. We get to hear, you know, all the incredible art and creativity that's in the room. And also you're going to walk away with a lot more insight into your song. So if that sounds good, let's kick it off. Okay. Good work, and well done for being so brave to go first, even though you had no choice in the matter. Okay, great, thank you. Okay. All right, does anybody need more time to, yeah? Okay. Yeah, yeah. Or do you want me to play? I'll just try and play from here. I think I can. For whatever reason, it's just not.
It's not coming out?
No.
Just go to this, to the settings. Because probably the audio is coming out from the HDMI.
Ah, okay. Cool.
It's okay. Wait.
Works, yep. Okay. Everybody finished? Okay. Put a number 1 next to that and then draw a line. Now put a number 2. We are going to go for Jenny and her epileptic dog, and we're going to go for Outline for Survival.
You say you have an outline for survival, maybe you do. Set you straight on shifted legs and theories to disprove. I spy fight songs and lovers to undo. And do we gain extra points for doorways we run through? Extra points for doorways we run through. On notebooks filled with prophecies we rue. I set you straight on skinny legs and lovers to undo. Addicted, unlifted, untrue. And I say you gain extra points for doorways you run through. Gain extra points for doorways you run through. You gain extra points for doorways you run through. You gain extra points for doorways you run through. You gain extra points for doorways you run through. You gain extra points for doorways you run through. Yeah, I say you do.
get massive Liam Gallagher vibes. Oasis, I don't know if anyone else got that.
Who's that?
Oasis, Wonderwall. Like I said, no wrong answers, right, guys? Okay, you need a couple of minutes. We're going to move fast with these. If anybody has got pages that they can rip out and send to me so I can collate all these while we're listening to, just send them up my way.
You won't be able to understand my writing.
Okay, I might have to get you on my computer then.
Oh, wait, oh. There's 5 questions, not 4. I think I forgot to answer one.
Can I just share the Google Doc?
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, pues ahí.
Okay, we're going to go for Rita.
I'm
Also
very
my
curious though.
handwriting.
That's fine, it's all good. That's all right. Is this the right one? This one?
It's the one below.
Oh, this one?
Sorry.
That's all right. Fantastic. That's really great.
Thank you.
All right.
You were smiling when you were singing.
Okay, we'll go Greta.
Okay, it's not only me, important to say, it's 4 people playing.
4 people playing? Great. How do you pronounce this? How do you pronounce it?
Shift the desk.
Amazing.
This is the 3rd song, right? You heard?
Fourth.
Fourth? 4th.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Because we had
I know,
you.
but yeah, the
Yeah.
5th was the 3rd.
Yeah, yeah.
I didn't write on my own.
That's okay. Just write.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just put 3 and then just go my own. Just so I can.
Okay.
Yeah. And if anybody's got papers that they can send to me.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we'll do it together.
I
I've
Yeah.
sent you the Google.
Oh, perfect. You're great. All right. Here we go. Beautiful.
Yeah.
So cool.
Great.
All right. João?
Yeah.
You're up.
I can't seem to follow.
Reading this excerpts and getting
Everything specified.
Good stuff. All right, what are we missing? If you could finish up your writing and send it to me, my way. Have we missed anyone? Oh my God, of course. Of course, of course, of course. Got too excited. Here we go. Bogoya. And we have time for the full 5 minutes, unless you want us to stop? Okay, all right. Beautiful.
Yeah. Very nice.
Okay, round of applause.
Yay!
Well done, everyone. Okay, if everybody could send me what they wrote. You can't send me? Okay, you'll sit with me and or you can write it out on the computer.
Write in a clear way.
I'm trying to send you an email by copying.
Email? Yeah. Yeah, whoever's not confident, what I want to do is I want to give you all this document so you can see everyone's feedback.
I can make a clear version of this confusion.
Sure. If you guys want to take a coffee break or a water break or a rewriting break, a yoga break, I'll just work on this. All right. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for participating. So I'm going to send you this document. What I would do is, once I've taken this, so if we go back to our slides, we're in this part. So what we did is we just analysed the song, and you can saw how easy it is. So if you don't have, if you don't have the pleasure of coming to an excellent conference like this with all your creative minds in the room, what you can do is do this with a group of friends or do it with your collaborators and friends, family, anyone who, has an idea of music. People who don't have an idea of music, also great, because, you want to get your song played by as many people as possible. So you don't need to have any specific skills in this. But I would do this exercise with, each one of your track that you're going to be promoting. Then what I do from there is let's just take, for example, we'll go with some of them. As you saw, some of them was more difficult to fill out, but let's just take Jenny the epileptic dog. So what I'll do is I'll come to this information and I'll just go, okay, so if this song was on a playlist, what would this playlist be called? We've got Heartbroken Space, Romantic, Heartbroken Therapy, Velvet, Oasis at Home, Gateways to Heaven, Ironically Sad, Day at Home, Suburban Sunset Ballads. Right now we can start to kind of get a picture of what that track was about, and you might not have even thought of that, but that can give you ideas for, say, music videos or content, or how do people visualize it? What is the image? But then you can also go and go, all right, let's have a look at playlists like Ironically Sad. Is there one really sad? Like, okay, I'm ironically sad when I'm happy. And then it's like, okay, let's start to look at some of these artists, Malibu Night, like Lainey, Arctic Monkey. I mean, some of it doesn't make sense, but you can start to actually like look at those and start to build out playlists that you could potentially target. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to start looking at the artists that this reminds me of. So we've got Nine Inch Nails, Bob Dylan, Billy Joel, Foxy Jam, David Bowie, LCD Sound System, Silver Jews. So I'll use a tool like Every Noise, and I'd go here and I'd look at, okay, LCD Sound System, where do they exist? And also, you're the person who knows the music and the project better, so you can look at this and go, I have nothing to do with the Silver Jews, like irrelevant, and just take that out. You can be like, oh yeah, LCD Sound System, that makes sense. And then I can go here and I'm like, okay, LCD Sound System is electronic rock, alternative dance, indie-tronica, new rave, dance punk, indie rock, dance rock, art pop, electronica, alternative rock. So I might go, all right, indie-tronica kind of makes sense. So then you can start to see here all the other artists that it is in that world, and you can start to kind of build out that picture. From there, once you've got, you've got a list of your playlists, a list of your artists, what I would do is use a tool like, you can go, you can look at tools like Chartmetric or Sound Charts as well. You can actually type in and look at what the look at a specific track and it'll pull up all of the different playlists that song has been featured on, and then you can start to put a picture together of which playlist you can target. Then from here, I know this is a lot of information, but what you're just trying to do is you're trying to paint a more specific pitch. So if you do decide to use Submit Hub or Playlist Push or any of those kind of agencies that can recommend your track, you can really start to put it in. It's like, okay, it sounds like Foxy Gem, David Bowie, Velvet Underground. The type of playlist it appears in is like Day at Home, Ironically Sad, Oasis at Home. The mood of it is heartbroken and beaten. It's uplifting, happy, it's hopeful, it's spacey, it's atmospheric. And then these are the types of genres that it can fit into. All of this information is so powerful and so helpful because it gets you out of going, my pitch is I make alternative music that's happy and it's about love. And you're like, cool, every other track is about that. But you can make it a lot more specific, and the more specific you can get, the more targeted your pitch is and the better results you're gonna have. So your homework for today is I'm gonna give you this response form. I'm gonna email it to you after this so you'll have it in your inbox as soon as you get back. But use this information to then start to craft your pitches and choose how you're gonna do it. So for your Spotify for Artists pitch, that's how you can start to use this information to start to craft what that song's about. And that's the same if you're using like a Submit Hub or any of those other third-party playlist promotion tools. But yeah, that wraps up for today. So I hope that was helpful. I hope my goal was you've learned from the artist level, how to market at the artist level. Now we've come down to the song level. What we're gonna do tomorrow is then start to look at ideas around release strategies and areas of focus in terms of marketing. And then we're gonna work on your projects and come up with some ideas around these particular songs as well. And we're gonna share with everybody, and that's where we're gonna get feedback from myself and one of the other guest speakers as well. So thank you for today. Thank you for being so active. Thank you for helping each other. Yeah, I hope you're able to take at least one thing out from it. Yeah,
Perfect.
Thank you.
Shall we also fill in the questionnaire? The one that you gave?
So you don't owe that to me. That's just a takeaway for you guys.
Oh, okay.
And it's just meant to help you with your branding. So if you did that exercise this morning and you're still a bit like, I'm not, that's more of just a thought starter, but that is meant to delve a lot deeper into your brand. So yeah, you don't owe it for me, but just do it for yourselves.
Okay. Thank you very much.
No problems.